Gregg Braden opens the discussion by highlighting a critical and urgent trajectory humanity is on, one where technology is increasingly integrated into our very biology. He warns that by 2030, we may be the last generation of what could be called pure humans, as organizations like the World Economic Forum and the United Nations push for the introduction of computer chips in the brain, RFID implants under the skin, nanobots in the bloodstream, and other synthetic augmentations from birth. This movement, often referred to as transhumanism, aims to replace or augment human biology with technology, promising enhanced capabilities, but at the cost of diminishing our natural human faculties. Braden stresses that this is not science fiction, but a reality already unfolding incrementally. While some technological applications, such as prosthetics controlled by brain implants, offer undeniable benefits for individuals with disabilities, the broader societal push toward mass implantation raises profound concerns. The danger lies in the gradual atrophy of natural human abilities, cognitive, emotional, and intuitive, as technology takes over functions our bodies and brains were designed to perform. This use it or lose it principle means that reliance on synthetic aids could lead to a loss of essential human capacities within a generation or two. Central to Braden's message is the idea of divinity as an inherent human potential rather than a religious dogma. He redefines divinity as the ability to transcend perceived limitations, limitations often imposed by outdated science, societal conditioning, or fear. Divinity manifests in creativity, imagination, empathy, unconditional love, forgiveness, and the capacity to heal oneself. These qualities, Braden argues, are foundational to the human experience and not peripheral spiritual ideals. He laments that the transhumanist agenda effectively veils this divinity by encouraging us to surrender our natural biology and with it, our innate powers. The loss of divinity is not just a spiritual loss, but a practical one, as it diminishes our ability to innovate, empathize, and heal. Braden challenges listeners to ask themselves whether they love themselves enough to embrace their full human potential, or whether they will succumb to the allure of technological shortcuts that ultimately erode their essence. Love, in Braden's framework, is the catalyst for awakening to our untapped human potential. He distinguishes between love with fear and love without fear, emphasizing that true love involves vulnerability, unconditional forgiveness, and compassion. This kind of love is not merely an emotion, but a transformative force that can unlock the deeper capacities of the human body and mind. The conversation touches on how love and coherence, such as heart-brain coherence, studied by organizations like HeartMath, can influence our physiology and consciousness. When we cultivate love and compassion, our bodies resonate at higher frequencies, enabling healing and expanded awareness. Braden and the hosts agree that this internal work of self-love and connection is the antidote to the external pressures pushing us toward technological dependence and division. Braden provides a sobering overview of how global institutions are orchestrating the integration of technology into human biology. The World Economic Forum, WEF, known for its annual Davos meetings, has partnered with the United Nations to implement the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, by 2030. While the goals themselves, ending poverty, ensuring food security, and improving health, are laudable, the methods proposed involve unprecedented technological control over human bodies and behaviors. He explains that the WEF's vision, as articulated by Klaus Schwab, is to merge the natural, digital, and biological worlds into a single system regulated by artificial intelligence. This would involve widespread adoption of brain implants and other biodigital interfaces, ostensibly to give newborns a competitive edge. However, Braden warns that the true cost of this integration is the erosion of human creativity, empathy, and sovereignty, with technology becoming a tool of control rather than empowerment. A significant portion of the discussion contrasts the human brain's remarkable capabilities with those of silicon-based technology. Braden points out that while computer chips are fast and efficient, they are limited by physical constraints and finite scalability. In contrast, the human brain is a dynamic, adaptive organ capable of producing new neurons throughout life, morphing brain states, and operating at frequencies far beyond what was once thought possible. He cites studies showing that the human brain is approximately 100 times more efficient than the most advanced microprocessors, and that brain states can be self-regulated to achieve extraordinary levels of consciousness, as demonstrated by Tibetan monks. This adaptability and potential for growth underscore the folly of replacing or augmenting human cognition with technology that may cause natural abilities to atrophy through disuse. Braden highlights the psychological dangers of relying on technology to perform functions our bodies and minds are designed to do. When cognitive tasks are outsourced to implants or AI, the brain's natural problem-solving, emotional processing, and socialization skills begin to deteriorate. This loss is not just individual, but societal, as it undermines empathy, communication, and community cohesion. The podcast also explores how media algorithms and information silos exacerbate social division by feeding users polarized content, weaponizing issues such as race, gender, and politics to fracture social bonds. This engineered division serves the interests of those seeking control and distracts humanity from recognizing and embracing its shared divinity and potential. Braden offers a contrarian perspective on climate change, emphasizing the importance of distinguishing between scientific facts and politicized narratives. He acknowledges that climate change is real, but argues that humans are not the primary cause. Rather, natural tectonic and oceanic cycles play a dominant role. He points to the politicization of climate science and the use of fear and urgency as indoctrination tactics to push specific agendas without open scientific debate. This theme extends to the COVID-19 pandemic, where Braden critiques the use of science-is-settled rhetoric to enforce compliance and suppress dissent. He advocates for independent research and critical thinking as remedies to manipulation through fear and guilt, underscoring the need for transparency and honesty in public discourse. Throughout the conversation, Braden returns to the concept of a fundamental struggle between forces of good and evil, not as abstract metaphors, but as real dynamics shaping human history and consciousness. He defines evil as anything that denies human divinity, our capacity to love, imagine, create, and heal. This struggle manifests in kinetic violence, psychological manipulation, and technological control. Braden stresses that understanding this struggle provides a framework for interpreting current events and personal challenges. The choice humanity faces is whether to succumb to fear and division or to live from love and embrace our divinity. Triumph, he suggests, is not about defeating evil through conflict, but transcending it by embodying the best version of ourselves. The discussion delves into the provocative idea that our reality may be a simulation or construct, a concept supported by both ancient spiritual traditions and modern physics. Braden references Nick Bostrom's simulation hypothesis and parallels it with indigenous and mystical teachings that describe the physical world as an illusion or a temporary learning environment. He explains that if we are in a simulation, our consciousness or higher self exists outside it, and the purpose of this experience is growth and learning. Phenomena such as the Mandela effect and quantum experiments suggest glitches or resets in the simulation, reinforcing the idea that reality is more fluid and interconnected than conventional science admits. This perspective invites a re-examination of identity, purpose, and the potential for transcendence. Braden shares deeply personal accounts of near-death experiences and encounters with non-physical beings that shaped his understanding of consciousness and divinity. At age 5, after a severe electrocution, he perceived beings in maroon robes cradling his head, an experience that opened his awareness to dimensions beyond ordinary perception. Later, a near-drowning incident reinforced his understanding of letting go and the continuity of consciousness. These experiences underpin his conviction that human consciousness is not confined to the physical body and that we have access to higher dimensional realities. They also inform his approach to healing, spirituality, and the integration of science and mysticism. In closing, Braden emphasizes that the path forward is not to reject technology outright, but to reclaim our divinity by living as the best versions of ourselves. This involves cultivating love, forgiveness, empathy, and creativity, and engaging with practices that awaken our innate potential, such as meditation, breathwork, and conscious focus. He encourages individuals to question prevailing narratives, seek independent knowledge, and resist indoctrination tactics that foster fear and helplessness.